What's up, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more Bad Religion. And we're going back to their 1993 album, Recipe for Hate. And this was actually a request, shout out to Ryan. He said he wouldn't mind seeing a reaction to American Jesus, though he did mention at the time that he felt a little sheepish because he was saying, it's a more like mainstream popular Bad Religion tune, which is interesting to me. I keep saying it. It seems like, generally speaking, the mainstream music world has kept an arm's length from a band like Bad Religion, even though a few of their songs over the years have gotten some radio play, and they were on technically a major label for a few records. But yeah, this tune is definitely one that I think more people who are not necessarily, full-time Bad Religion fans have heard. But yeah, lyrically, I think it's a very interesting song, and I think it gets at a number of different things that, speak to the lyrical underpinnings that a lot of Bad Religion songs have had over the 4+ decades they've been around. Which is to say, it's a song talking about the way in which there is a number of Americans, including a particular sort of, let's say, conservative Christian evangelical sort of cultural dynamic in which they see the U.S. as a preferred nation state. They see it as divinely sanctioned and favored, as if a omnipotent, omniscient and omnibenevolent supernatural deity, all-powerful, all-knowing, with the best morals you could possibly have, would sort of play favorites with modern nation states that apparently came about millennia after the important sort of supernatural narratives in question began to play out, and so on. The idea that, thousands of years later, that same supernatural entity who tried to apparently do this thing or these things for all of humanity and so on, the idea that they would be up there with like a USA hat on, rooting as if for a sports game for one nation to prevail in military or cultural conflict over others, it seems a bit crazy, right? And so the song is saying that, it's written from the perspective of someone who sees the world and the United States that way. And it's basically saying, it's so unfortunate for so much of humanity because so few of them are born here, but we have this power, we have this divine power on our side. It makes us right. We know we're right, and we know we're going to win because ultimately, our God is on our side wearing our red, white, and blue colors. And you can see him out on the interstate, and you can see him in the actions of all these people. But buried within the sort of spoken from the point of view of this type of character are little hints about the dangers of this perspective, and that it's saying when you think God is on your side, well then you can do all sorts of horrible things because you think that you are divinely sanctioned. So the sort of you could kill someone under the premise that maybe, again, if you get away with it, that means God must have allowed it. And then once you've done it, even if it turns out to maybe not be the most moral action, well, it's built into our system that, there's forgiveness and all you have to do is be contrite and so on. And then anything that you've done can be simply washed off the table. So there's a number of sort of layers to this song. But it's essentially speaking to the way in which, again, there is a swath of fundamentalist evangelical Americans who see the most aggressive and combative, essentially or especially foreign policy, but even domestic policies, as somehow divinely justified and sanctioned, and again, almost as if the supernatural being that they're conceiving of is rooting for the U.S. like a sports team in some round robin tournament with all the other political, cultural flavors around the world. So or teams, I should say. So yeah, it's a song that I think gets to a cultural, religious, and political strain in the United States, which, the song was written 30 years ago. One could argue that it is at least as relevant and prescient today as it was when it was written 30 years ago. So yeah, with no further ado, let's get to it. This is Bad Religion, American Jesus, from their 1993 album Recipe for Hate. Which again, it fits with the album title, right? This kind of thinking, it's a recipe for hate. It's us versus them. Whether us is far away in a different religion, or whether us and them is someone close by who just doesn't share our view. Recipe for hate. Yeah, I don't need to be a global citizen. I don't need to get along with other people because we're the divinely chosen ones. There are things that drag us down, but there's a power and a vital presence is lurking all around. We got the American Jesus, see him on the interstate. We got the American Jesus, he helped build the president's estate. He helped build the president's estate. The riff in this tune is fantastic. It's legendary, like memorable. So few in the USA, they can visit but they cannot stay. Give us your tourism dollars, but don't think you can stay here. It's right here. The oohs and ahs, the backing vocals. Come on, Greg. He held that for a long time. I like how it drops like twice. This section's cool. And this is where there's like hints of the dangers of what he's saying. The motive and the redemption of the murderer. Again, my beliefs make me want to go out and be combative toward other people who don't share them, and then when I do that, I feel justified because even if it was not the greatest, I'm forgiven, right? Exercising his authority. I love that. We've got the American Jesus all around the millions everywhere. One nation. The scary mantra, which, like, again, 30 years later, literally this same sort of cultural group is now overtly saying there should be no separation of church and state. This part feels much more relevant now. Again, it was relevant then, but yeah, some of the stuff that back then it was only the fringe of the sort of evangelical movement was saying, now is being said very publicly, very centrally, and very loudly by the sort of inheritors of this same movement. But yeah, like I said, I really do enjoy the tune, even if I still do think there's other tunes that would make more sense to me if they had sort of hit and, you know, been played on the radio. Like, I think the title tune of this album is a really, really good track. And so even though I do like American Jesus, I feel like, you know, to me it's weird that that song is more well known than the title tune, Recipe for Hate. But yeah, I do enjoy the tune. As I said, I think the guitar riff is particularly good. I think the lyrics are well written, and I like the idea of, you know, sort of a Dead Kennedys thing. A lot of Dead Kennedys songs, they write from the point of view of someone who is not of the same mentality as actually Jello Biafra himself. Bad Religion songs tend to be more like, almost like an independent observer, like anthropologically, like assessing the state of humanity and so on. This one is a little interesting because it's, you know, spoken from the point of view of someone who believes in the primacy of their nation state in this like supernatural, universal creation, which again, it seems like an insane thing that thousands of years after a religious tradition emerged, that you would then, you know, latch on to the idea that a nation state that's only been a couple hundred years old is somehow the ultimate like purpose of this whole thing. It seems very silly. So yeah, again, I don't mean to offend anyone, but when you talk about Bad Religion lyrics, you just kind of have to get at what they talk about. So yeah, everyone's welcome on this channel, but yeah, like I said, I react to Bad Religion, you gotta explore the lyrics. So let me know what you think of the tune, let me know what you think of this album. If there's another tune on here you'd like to hear me react to. I do think I reacted to the title tune I'll have to go back and look. It might have been on my old channel. I think most of the punk rock reactions like started right as I was shifting to this new channel, so maybe there's like one or two that were only on my old channel, but I'm guessing I have done that one already. I'll put it in the comments, but if I haven't done it, you know, that's definitely one that I need to get to. But yeah, either way, let me know what you think of the tune. Other than that, I will see you next time.